It's time for the mid-year freak out tag. Doo, 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 doo. I'm not freaking out though. I'm just enjoying a bit of sunshine and slumping a bit with my reading. But I have had a good year to date. How many books have I read? I did write this down. 86 books this year. So that's pretty good. My goal was and is every year 72 books, which is 6 a month. But yeah, smashing through. But I have read quite a lot of graphic novels, so take that with a pinch of salt. And so this tag does the rounds. Pretty much everyone does it. It's just a way of checking in at the midpoint and saying, oh, these have been really good, these have been not so good. And so I'm going to jump in. I think there are quite a few different iterations of the questions. So I picked a list of questions that I thought suited me the best, basically. And they were the questions that Lindy over at Lindy Magpie Reads, answered for her mid-year tag. So I think it's a bit of a mishmash of various questions asked in the tag. So I'm going to stop waffling and just start telling you about some great books. So question number 1, best sequel of the year, hands down, Before They Are Hanged by Joe Abercrombie. This man can write. So this is the second in the First Law trilogy. It is fantasy. Would I say military fantasy? Multiple POVs. I would say it's light on the fantasy elements to this point in the book. But it's just a masterclass in character development. The characters in this book are outstanding. The first book, The Blade itself, almost felt like a prologue. It's a very long prologue, but Abercrombie just set the scene. He built the world. He set the characters. He set the building blocks for the plot within that book. And then book 2 comes, and you're like, holy macaroni, this man is a genius. So yeah, blew my socks off. Excellent. Cannot wait to get to the final book in that trilogy. The next question is new release you haven't read yet but want to. Every book basically that's been published since January. No, there are a lot though. There's a lot. There's a real lot. I wrote a few down because I couldn't pick one. But The Covenant of Water, I'd really like to read, by Abraham Verghese. Wayward by Amelia Hart. I feel like everybody's raving about that book. Clytemnestra by Costanza Casati, because I love me a Greek myth retelling. But if I had to pick one that I'm most excited about, I literally just saw this the other day. It's only just been released, and that's 19 Claws and a Blackbird by Agostina Bazterrica. So this is a short story collection, and I can hear you say, Gemma, you don't like short story collections. No, I do not. But Agostina Bazterrica is a badass, and this is only her second novel to be translated into English. Bazterrica is South American, and yeah, if if you're unfamiliar with her first book, Tender as the Flesh, that book was brutal, following the manager of a human abattoir when meat is no longer, or animal meat is no longer available for human consumption. They just start eating humans. So yeah, that sort of shows you how dark Bazterrica's mind is, and so I'd love to see the other depths of darkness in her mind in this short story collection. So yeah, super excited for that one. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I am going to come with a anticipated releases video soon-ish. But the one that immediately popped to mind when I read this question was, of course, Heartstopper Volume 5. It will be the last in the Heartstopper series. I read all the other 4 last year, and I just loved them. So yeah, very much looking forward to seeing what Nick and Charlie do in the final book. Biggest disappointment of the year, I think that has to go to The Keeper's Six by Kate Elliott. I have read Kate Elliott's series, Crown of Stars series, and I adored it. It was so good. And so I was talking to some lovely YouTube friends about maybe reading some fantasy together. It was Dia from Novel Idea, Jack from Spread Book Joy, and Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot. And someone suggested The Keeper Six by Kate Elliott, and I was like, oh, she's a brilliant writer. I really, really loved her series that I read. And then we read that and it was just crap. Yeah. Good ideas, poorly executed in a novella, but it was like it was a plot for like an 800 page book that she tried to like knock off in like 100 odd pages, and it's just like, nah, mate, stick to what you know. Stick to what you know. The biggest surprise, and that has got to go to All the Men I Never Married by Kim Moore, which is a poetry collection. So I am not a poetry person, but I saw Jen the Librarian talk about this in her best books of the year last year, and I was like, oh, I'll give it a go. And it was awesome. It was really, it was pretty brutal in places, but I felt like it really got under the skin of some of the things that women have to deal with around men. The poems that looked at more negative experiences were the ones that really chimed with me. And yeah, it kind of opened the world of poetry to me. And after having read many poems that I just thought, I don't care, I was pleasantly surprised to see that actually poetry can work for me. So big thanks to Jen for recommending that, because that was definitely my biggest surprise this year. Favourite new author. So new to me author would have to be Daphne du Maurier. We read Jamaica Inn this year as part of the FOMO book club that I run with Jacket Spread Bookjoy and Alice and the Giant Bookshelf, and it was so good. I can't believe I've left it so long to get to du Maurier, but it was dark and sinister and atmospheric, and I just adored it from start to finish. So yeah, highly recommend, and I will definitely be getting to more du Maurier as soon as physically possible. New favourite character, Mr. Tom from Goodnight, Mr. Tom. Oh, that book. It did make me cry. But Mr. Tom is just such a delightful character. This sort of curmudgeonly old man who is forced to take in an evacuee in the Second World War, a young boy named Willie, and you sort of see his heart open as he sort of lets love back into his life. And it sounds a bit sickly sweet, but it's just, oh, I just loved it. Mr. Tom, I just want to give him cuddles. The saddest book I have read this year is hands down the graphic novel Waves by Ingrid Chabert. This looks at a lesbian couple who are trying to have a child. I won't tell you any more than that, but please check the trigger warnings. I don't think I have ever sobbed that hard at a book, and the fact that it was a graphic novel as well, so it was pretty short, and I just, oh man, I don't know whether it affected me more because I am a mother. I also, my youngest did spend a bit of time in the special care baby unit when he was born. So anything around babies, yeah, hurts bad. But yeah, really important topics that I think people don't talk about. It's almost seen as taboo. So I think it's important that this book is out there. But man, make sure you have a box of tissues if you pick that book up. That's all I can say. A book that made you happy. And here I'm going to go for The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff. This is on the Women's Prize for Fiction long list, and sort of took everyone by surprise. I don't think anyone had really heard of it before it was longlisted. And I read it, I listened to it on audio, and it was just brilliant, following the main character Geeta in a small village in India, and just looking at sort of interactions between the women in the village. There is sort of like a like a murdery aspect to it, but it's done with quite a wry sense of humour that I really, really appreciated. And it looks at some very serious topics like domestic violence and the injustices of the caste system, etc. But the way that Shroff wrote it just had you rooting, actually, for all of the female characters, even the ones that were kind of assholes. you were just rooting for them because you could see the patriarchy stacked against them, and they were just not having it, and it made me really happy. So Yes, highly recommend The Bandit Queens if you haven't read it yet. I do have a solo review for that actually, so I'll leave it below. The next question is your favorite video that you've created this year. So if I'm going strictly by the letter of this question, probably my favourite video that I created was the one I did literally the other week, the Booker Prize tier ranking video. I'm pretty proud of myself for that because I'm quite a technological Luddite. Why do you have a BookTube channel, Gemma? And so I figured out how to create a tier ranking thing and screen record it and then edit it in. And it took a hot minute. But I really enjoyed putting that video together. That was quite fun. The other video that I really enjoyed doing was the Misery May collaboration video, where I asked me and my friend Scott at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot asked a raft of booktubers to recommend their saddest books. We put it all together in a collab style video, and it was just so much fun, and there were so many great recommendations. I know I'm supposed to be talking about my own videos here, but if you didn't see Kit's video where she then read BookTuber's saddest videos, go check that out because that was amazing. And it was just really nice to see someone sort of making content off of my content. That's never really happened before. And Kit's video was just fabulous. So I will link their video and channel below for you because, yeah, really, really enjoyed watching that. But I suppose, like, this year, the things that I'm most proud of are like the concept things. So me and Alice from Alice and the Giant Bookshelf and Charlie from Charlie Brooke Reads did the very first Women's Prize plod along, which was a huge project where we followed the Women's Prize right through the season, talking to a variety of different booktubers about their experiences. And oh, here comes Rudy. And yeah, just I really enjoyed that project. And then also Misery May that I did with the lovely Scott. And yeah, it's been a busy year, but I've been involved in some really, really cool projects. So yeah, I'm digressing. Next question. Most beautiful book that you have bought. I've left it upstairs. I will insert footage. Next question. The book you've learned the most from, and I think this has got to be the graphic novel Gender Queer by Maya Kababe. That really taught me a lot about different queer identities that I wasn't really familiar with before, and it was just really well done. It was written in a way that I was able to understand. I didn't feel I really felt like Kababe was trying to share her experience and it wasn't like a preachy thing. So yeah, I would highly recommend. I learned a lot about different identities and different pronouns and things like that. So really, really good graphic novel. Next question. What books do you need to finish before the end of the year? Looks like Rudy's just here to stay now. What books do I need to... Rudy. Mate. What books do I need to finish before the end of the year? So I've got loads and loads of buddy reads up. Rudy really loves the smell of my hair, my hair stuff. So I've got loads and loads of buddy reads set up. But the two that I've started that I still haven't finished that I really do want to finish before the end of the year, let's see if I'm still saying this at the end of the year book tag, are Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky and The Three Musketeers by Dumas. I've been reading both of those for a while. I say reading in the loosest possible terms. I've had a bookmark in them for quite a while. How I pick them up. Fuck. So yeah, hopefully I can get to those soon. Next question. So this is the last question. Well, sort of the last question. Best book of the year. So I am going to pick a fiction and a non-fiction for this. Best non-fiction of the year was Know My Name by Chanel Miller. Yeah, I know I'm behind on the hype train for this, but I'm so glad I read it. Just looking at victim experiences and how money can basically solve any problem, regardless of justice. Makes you cross, but such an important story, and Chanel Miller did such a brilliant job in writing that. And I listened to the audio, she narrated it herself, and it was really, really good. So that's my favourite non-fiction for the year. And my favourite fiction is probably going to come as no surprise, and that's Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. Demon is just lodged in my heart, like a splinter in my thumb. I don't think he will ever go away. Yeah, I feel like I've waxed lyrical about this book quite a lot, so I won't labour the point. But if you haven't read it, you need to, because Demon is the best character I think I've ever. Oh, I just love him. I just love him so much. Right, and then I'm just adding something in at the end, and that is BookTube Channels that I've been really, really enjoying this year. There are loads, and obviously I talk about quite a lot of people on a regular basis, but just a few that I've been watching over the last couple of weeks that are top of mind that I just wanted to shout out. So if you're not following these people, they just bring so much joy to me. So I think they will bring joy to you too. So Lindy at Lindy Magpie Reads, she is just adorable. She has the best garden, I think, on YouTube. So go check her out. Stalking Kafka has me in stitches. Brilliant channel, and like criminally undersubscribed. She's just awesome. Why aren't more people watching her? Middle of the book march, Kim. Kim, I've really been enjoying watching her sort of discussion videos lately. That woman knows how to put an argument together, and I am just in awe of the way that she does it. So yeah, if you love watching like bookish debates almost, then definitely go check out Kim. She's brilliant. I already mentioned Kit, but they are fab. Just pumping out loads of decent content, like really great content. Particularly, as I said, the one where she read like BookTube's Saddest Books. That was, I shouldn't laugh. It was very traumatic for Kit. But yeah, they're just doing loads of cool stuff. So go check them. Jen the Librarian. Oh, I love Jen so much. And Jen also has a new is newsletter the right word? That like pops into my inbox every now and again, looking at bookish debates again, like what's happening, upcoming prizes, and just her content is just brilliant. She's just one of those super down to earth people that you just want to spend all your time with. And another one is Charlotte Malloy. Loads of stuff around book prizes, and she lives in Bali. Am I right? Bali? Charlotte? Is it Bali? And so like all of her filming is like on beaches or like with random cockerels in the background, and it's just makes me feel very jealous that I'm just sat in my living room with a dog who's playing with a belt. So yeah, I just think they're all great. So I'm going to link them below. Go and give them some love. And I will be coming very soon with my sort of top 10 books of the year so far. I haven't filmed it yet, so I don't know exactly when that's coming. But if you're interested to see like the books that were setting my world on fire last year, I will leave last year's mid-year freak out tag here for you. And I will see you all very soon with another one. Bye, guys.